Alright, it is going to be a weekly recap from the 15th to the 19th. I had a total of 8 trades, and as for this week, I'm not going to be trading Wednesday and Thursday, Friday because of Thanksgiving. I will be, in theory, trading tomorrow, the 22nd and the 23rd. And again, for this section, for this trade last week, the whole entire thing, I had 8 trades once again. 5 of them were green trades, so I had a 62 winning percentage. Only half of my setups I traded according to my dollar risk level, so I need to get better with that and keep working on my math. And I am trading at $8 risk level, but now with morning panic bounce plays later at the end of the week, I started trading a $15 risk level, so it's going to be a mixture between 8 and 15, but the majority is with that $8 risk level. In terms of my average dollar gain, it was about double what my average dollar loss was. My average percent gain was slightly bigger than my average percent loss. This trade right here, this short setup with AABB, I think is a good way to summarize that week, is that I should just not short stocks that are not significantly above EMA 4. This is one where I took the full L in that I had to get out of my position because it broke the risk level that I had in mind, and I got out. I didn't lose my full $8 because I always account for slippage in my setups, but this is a setup I could have avoided because it wasn't significantly above EMA 4, and that would have made the stats a little better. But you know, my average dollar position size was about double my average dollar position size on a losing trade, which is good, and my average time in the trade that was profitable was 4 minutes, and then the one, trade right here was 20 minutes long, so it made the stats a bit bigger for my average time in a trade that doesn't work. I made 21 bucks, and that was with just under $3,000 of trading volume, dollar volume, so almost 1% of the dollar volume that I traded. I want this number to be much bigger, but it is a lot bigger than last week. I definitely have a long way to go. I am trading smaller in general because I am, having that really low dollar risk level. But at this point, with a $15 risk level, I'm going to, in theory, trade a larger dollar volume. And in terms of how did I trade, a lot of these were not too bad. Whether the setup worked or not. Actually, this is whether the setup worked or not. This is whether I traded well or not, and this is did I trade according to my risk level. So definitely I see the biggest improvement I need to do is just trade according to my risk level. I should not have traded this one. I had a lot of nice morning panic bounce play setups, all of these with number 5s. Let's go ahead and go over all of the trades that I made, starting with AABB, which is on the 15th. That is a morning panic bounce play. So let's look at AABB for the 15th. I already have a chart of AABB, and the 15th is this one right here. So I like that because, it's a nice morning panic bounce play on a stock that is at its highs, just had its first red day, in that it kind of broke this little support it was making briefly at maybe 24. Let's look at the 15th, which was way back. Yeah, way back here. It did kind of hold the bottom a little. It downtrended a little bit, so this thing had a lot more room towards the downside. Looks like I'm going to have to zoom in more because the setup was way back there. This was it. I was in at 9:33 a.m., 25:20. Yeah, right here, 9:33, 25:20. Okay, so yeah, right at the bottom of the candle. So what was this? A morning panic bounce play. Had this drop from 26. And it actually did drop to 25, and I thought it could play off of 25. But in this candle, I remember when it broke 25 just briefly, with a lot of volume, but it was holding so well, and it reached to that bottom there, and then it looked like it was trying to turn around. People were hitting the ask, a nice level of support on the bid. That's when I got in at 25.20. Give or take this level right here, just because it looks like it was gonna turn around, even if it broke that support level just briefly. I got it into setup for that reason, and I did sell in pieces, in 2 pieces I think here. Yes, I got out at 9:36, 25.67, but this is an average. between my two exits. So one sold, you know, a bit higher than this level, and the other one a bit lower than this number. So let's look at 936, 2567. All right, so right here, and my average was 2567. So yeah, I think I sold one immediately right here, half of the position, right when it looked like it was at VWAP rather immediately, maybe right here in this candle. And then I sold another section a bit higher at 936. I think I sold at 26, the other section, and then it averaged out at this, you know, level in the middle. So that was actually, you know, really good, and I like that because it's helping me hold these morning panic bounce play setups a lot better. And the only thing I could have done differently, which I did mention here, is that I should try, maybe if I have, like in this case, 1,500 shares, maybe if it initially starts working immediately, I sell 500 shares and then I stick with that 1,000 shares left and try, you know, in theory, selling that at a higher price if the setup continues to work. So that's something I started to implement later, but that was a trade there. Not a very big percent gain, but you know, with that idea in mind, that is going to allow me to trade a lot better, more profitably, in theory. And yeah, the next trade here, AABB, another morning panic bounce setup for the 16th. So let's look at that. So just one more day. '16th is here. This was the setup right here for the 16th, and this one actually ended up losing money. I did not, you know, get in when it turned around. I was a bit too early ultimately. Let's see here. I was in at 9:33, 1913, and I got out the same minute at 1906. I barely lost anything, just, you know, under 0.5%. Let's go ahead and go over it. 9:33, 1913. So this candle right here, let me zoom in a little more. It did uptrend ultimately, but you know, not when I was in it, which is fine. Right here was my entry. So in theory, it was having this panic. I thought it was going to play off in 19, and you know, I was in it at 9:33, and there was a big wall of bidders holding 19. So you know, I hit the ask, and what happened was that, you know, people started dumping their shares. People were still dumping their shares at the bid, which was 19, and all of a sudden that big wall of bidders at 19 just started to get smaller and smaller, and then the people who had a lot of size at the bid just started getting smaller and smaller too. So I got out before it broke 19, which it did break 19 in this case, and it dropped all the way to 18.5. I did miss the turnaround here. Yeah, that was the setup there. I was just too early. When I'm risking the day low, which is like the very bottom point in the entire day, if it looks like it's going to break that level, I get out before it actually does. Now maybe it actually holds the level, but it looked like it was going to break under it. It works, that's fine. But you know, if I'm risking a day low, it looks like it's going to break, I always try to get out before it actually does, if it seems like it will. If I'm risking a level that isn't the day low, what I try to do is just let that level break, and then if it actually breaks, that's when I get out. But sometimes it looks like it's going to break and it doesn't, and it works out, which was an issue I had later this week that I learned from. I think it's going to be 2 trades from here, but yeah, I was just too early on here. And oh, this was it. Yeah, let's go ahead and get to the next one. ILUS, same day, morning panic bounce way higher low. So let's look at ILUS for the 16th. Not a significant, although that's the 15th. Yeah, it's the same. Not a significant red day, so maybe not the best for a setup, but let's go ahead and look at ILUS. This was it, a morning panic bounce play. This is the higher low. Literally what I was just talking about. My entry was 941, 42.5. Oh, right here actually at the very bottom. I did get this one at the bid. So again, warning panic bounce play, bounces. It got to VWAP. I mean, what was this? From like 42 to 43, so not the best. But it did get to VWAP. It didn't break past it or anything. And then it made this low here. And that's when I got in right here, thinking it was going to hold this 42.5 level. And it did hold, but unfortunately, I sold basically at the same price, but slightly unprofitable somehow. 4 minutes later, 9:45. So right here, so why did I get out? I got out because there was a lot of people at the ask with a lot of size. I didn't like the price action. It started to look like it was going to break this 42.5 level, and I thought, okay, I'm going to get out before it breaks it. It actually held the level, and it never got to my risk level, which was here. If this level would have broken, I would have gotten out. But I was too nitpicky about this fake level that it wasn't my actual risk in terms of when am I going to get out if it breaks the level. Because, you know, I was just too scared. And if it were to have dropped towards the day low, my risk level, and then it looks like it was going to break that, okay, I would have gone out of the setup. And even if it, you know, in this case it worked out, that would be totally fine. But I just played it off of this wrong level right here, and that was totally my mistake there, because this one did eventually continue the uptrend. It got to 44.5 relatively quickly. No significant crazy drops or anything. Low volume, yes, but it did make a move towards the upside. Let me see what a sell would have been at 43.4. Just in theory. Yeah, that would have been $4, 2%, and it, you know, went even higher. And then I wasn't sized appropriately because my dollar risk level, you see, is 5. So in theory I should have been trading 1,000 shares, which is closer to my $8 risk level now. So in theory I could have sold better and I could have went larger, but instead I learned a very good lesson. I barely lost anything. I lost 2 pennies. I mean 0.01%. So I think that was a great lesson, and I need to apply that and keep getting better. I like that I'm trading small even though I'm not making a lot or losing a lot. It's totally helping out. Alright, let's look at the next setup, which is AABB, and that is on the 16th. And this is a setup I should not have traded. This was a short squeeze short. Let's look at AABB for the 16th, and yeah, let's just see the trade I shouldn't have traded. Great lesson, even though, you know, I took it, I didn't lose much, so nothing crazy. It looks like the second, you know, red day, although it's a green candle, it, you know, it had a wicked start of the downtrend. So 16th is right back here. It didn't do a nice uptrend right here, and I was short this. This was the morning panic bounce play. Just like ILUS, it had a higher low setup. This one actually did get to the low right here. It did get as low as this level. So if it were to have broken that level, you know, I would have been out in theory before it would have broken out. In this case here, I would have been totally fine if it looked like it was going to break the level and I was just too scared and I got out and it actually turned around. That would have been totally fine. In this case right here, I did go over this setup live. If you go back to the video of the day that I traded this short, which was the 16th, and this one had a super nice short squeeze, like just a really nice short seller trap. So anybody short here under VWAP because they're dumb, or maybe somebody from a previous position had that, you know, position. And what it did here was is that you can see a big injection of volume. They lifted up the ask from, you know, give or take this 18.5, 18.6 level all the way to freaking 18.99 right at VWAP. And then, you know, people started hitting the ask, and then all of a sudden, you know, it breaks VWAP. All the short sellers are covering their positions, and I thought that is the time for me to short when all the short sellers are getting, you know, squeezed. It did work a little bit. I was profitable for just a little bit, but the setup did not work out for the long period of time. I was short at 10.10, and that was 1973. So let's look at 10.10 right here. 10.10 at right here, this candle 1973. So I thought, okay, 20 is a very important level. My risk is going to be if this breaks with slippage, and you know, I'm short right here. It's going to choke under 20. It did put up a lower high, which I thought it would do. There was plenty of time for me to have covered here profitably, but I got greedy. I wanted more. And by the way it was trading, I thought maybe it was gonna be not so nice. I thought, you know, I don't want to cover at a not so good price because of the way it's trading. Let's just see if it continues to fade. It did turn around eventually, and I did cover my position at 10:30, which was 20 minutes later at 203. So let's look at 203, 10:30. It was this candle right here, 2030, basically, give or take, this level right there. Just because it got to that level, it did, you know, get to that level, and then I got my cover right there at that 2030 level, give or take. Great lesson learned. I thought, hey, this could be a head and shoulders, shoulder, head, shoulder, but because I remembered my lesson, not, you know, that I'm not supposed to short stocks that are, you know, not considerably above EMA 4. I didn't take the short. This ended up being another trap, so that was pretty impressive because it made a nice move. And yeah, a great reminder not to trade a setup like that. No short selling if it's not considerably above EMA 4. That was a great lesson there, and it was profitable for just a little bit, but you know, I don't mind it. I learned a lot from that setup. Let's look at the 17th. That is RGBP for a morning panic bounce play. So let's look at RGBP for the 17th. Yeah, not the best long-term chart, but it did do that turnaround here, and I'm trading it on the 17th. I probably traded it just because it looked clean. Nice squeeze later in the day with volume. I guess a tweet came out or something, but let's go ahead and get to the 17th right in the morning. I was in at 935, 211. Right here, 935, 211. So very similar with that other morning panic bounce play with AABB, I believe, where it was trading off of this wick right here. It briefly broke it, and then it looked like it was coming back, so I didn't mind my entry there at 211. I did sell in 3 pieces, as it says right here, so let's just see what my average sell. My average sell is 21.6, and I closed it completely by 938. So right here, 938. And my sell was what? 216. I actually did better with my sells here. Right here, give or take, is the average of what I sold at, which was just slightly above VWAP in 3 pieces. Not bad at all. It did get higher, I mean, but this thing ran out of volume. It got to 22.5, but I don't mind the way I traded this one. This was a low volume morning panic bounce play on something not too ideal on the daily charts. You know, it wasn't bad for what it was. I did trade close to my risk level. I put close. I guess what? I could have traded 15,000 shares. Yeah, that would have been better. But, you know, it was close. It wasn't like completely off. I'm sure as my dollar risk level gets bigger, you know, in theory, if it does get bigger, God willing, you know, maybe I'll be more accurate with stuff like that, but that's fine. Let's look at IOUS, a morning panic bounce play as well for the 18th. Much better daily chart, although not, yeah, not that nice. Better than RGBP. 18th was right here. Let's highlight from there if I can do that. Yeah, that's not bad. My entry was 938, 414. So 938 was right here, 414. Right, 414, or is it 4? Yeah, 414. Okay. 938, 414. Right there, right there was my entry. Morning panic bounce play. You know, in theory, I'm risking this wick breaking, and if the wick breaks, you know, I get out immediately. You know, before it breaks, again, because it is a day low. You know, and then I account for slippage. So again, let's see when I sold, and I sold how many times? I might have sold 2 times. And I did oversize here. I put a clear no because it was too large in this setup, and it didn't ended up working out because I remember this VWAP is right here, which is at the ask. You can see the line, and then the bid was this 416 level, and I'm in at 414, so I basically sold everything, almost everything at 416. It averaged to 417, so maybe a few sales into 418 or something slightly higher, but I did get out at 941 at 417, give or take. Yeah, it just didn't seem that nice. It clearly had more room towards the downside. I didn't want to trade this because it was too scary, but that was a setup there. It did eventually consolidate, as you can see right here, and then, you know, kind of make a choppy inverse head and shoulder, shoulder, head, shoulder, and break VWAP, and that was a move from 40 to 42. But yeah, the range is in there, the volume isn't that nice. I over traded this one in terms of size. I put too much, maybe 1,500 shares. Yeah, that would have been a lot better, but that's fine. That was my first try trading with a $15 risk level. I kind of went a little too big, but I did get better. Let's look at DPLS. Another morning panic bounce play. You can tell my favorite setup is morning panic bounce play for the 19th. So yeah, this one's an ugly daily chart too. 19th, it was the last day. So right here, let's go ahead and highlight this. I might have to zoom in. No, this isn't that bad at all, honestly. My entry was 935. Okay, 1114. So actually, yeah, let me zoom in. 935, 1114. I remember this. This was a clear level 2 reversal. I was in right here at the bottom of the red candle. I could have gone in at 1101, 1102, but I didn't get executed. My thing didn't get filled, which sucked, and it did make a spike straight towards VWAP. And I thought, all right, well, it might come back near the bottom of the candle. Not always exactly. It did that, so I got in at 1114 right here. In theory, I could have gone in at a better entry, but that's fine. You know, it's not gonna everything's not gonna go your way all the time, and that was the case here. It did break past VWAP. My sell was at 937. I sold in pieces too. I think 3 pieces. And let's see, I sold at 937. My average was 1154. So 937 was this crazy wick candle. 1154 was my sell averaged out. So in theory, right at VWAP, which isn't bad at all. You know, it did offer a move, a very, you know, I don't know how Siri thought I was talking to her, but yeah, that was a setup right there. It did have more room to downtrend, and I did trade this, I believe, one more time as my last trade. The same ticker, yep. And I traded much larger in this one, I think. Yeah, $400 size. Still just an $8 risk. Right? Yeah, that was it. Okay, DPLS. The last minute, not last minute, last trade, 11 a.m. tsunami, first red day. Okay, so that's a lot to explain. If something just keeps downtrending, 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 right, and then it looks like it gets to around that 11, you know, 11 a.m. you know hour, sometimes they can turn around and try to hit VWAP, and this was the shoulder, head, shoulder that eventually played out and went from this 10 cents level to 10.5, so just 5% if you sell at VWAP. So that was not a lot of range, a lot of opportunity. I did trade it in here thinking this was going to be the turnaround. I was just a bit too early, but let's look at my entry. 1121, 1024, 1121, which was right here, this one of these candles right here at 1024, and I remembered I got in. I'm probably going to have to zoom in a little bit more. That barely helped. Let me just do it from here. It kind of started the trade the same after I got there, just to be a little better at 1121 right here. So I did get in, and then it immediately started trading around its lows, and I did not like that. So I was much more inclined to sell this thing, you know, for break even or a slight loss, because of the fact it just didn't immediately work. It started to trade at a lower level. Now, it didn't break my risk level at 1013, but it got close, and I did not like that. So I did sell one piece and then another piece. I sold one at 120, I think 129, 1029, and then I sold it, as I can say right there, 1023. So let's just see when I got out completely. 1132 at 1026 average. 1132 was right here. Yeah, give or take right there. I barely sold this thing for a profit. It ultimately didn't work out. I remembered it was trying so hard to get above this 10.3 level, but then an 800K seller showed up, and then a 125K seller, and I thought, okay, this is not looking nice. I'm going to get out. Clearly, the price action is not in favor, and you know, it probably is going to break the level with this type of big seller showing up on the ask. And yeah, it did get briefly below my thing, so I would have gone out here, even though it did turn around from this 10.12 to this 10.5 level. It made the head here. It did do the shoulder, but you know, the volume wasn't there, the range wasn't there. I think it was still a good attempt. I thought maybe in theory, here's a shoulder, this is a shoulder, here's the head, and then it's going to uptrend right and make a shoulder and maybe head towards VWAP. Clearly this ended up, this entire thing here being the shoulder, head, and then shoulder. So yeah, that's all I got for the week. So if I'm risking the day low, I'm going to get out before it breaks it, even if it doesn't break it and it works eventually, just to play it safe. If I'm risking something not below, you know, if I'm not risking the day low, something higher than the day low, I'm going to try to be more patient and let that level actually break, because a lot of those setups like IOUS, AABB actually held the risk level that wasn't, you know, in theory, right at the day low, and it plays off. So yeah, I need to remember where I'm risking. If it looks like I'm playing off of the day low and it breaks a tiny range that is not the day low, I need to, you know, then consider it if it gets towards the day low and it looks like it's going to break it. But I'm not going to get out because some tiny range above the day low is going to break. That's something I need to do. No shorting, you know, if a stock is not considerably above EMA 4. A lot of room for improvement. I'm going to stick to that $15 risk level. Maybe I'll trade larger, you know, risk level amounts. But yeah, that's all I have. And I guess dinner is ready. That's all I got for this week. I'm not going to trade every day, the week afterwards this week, but a lot of room for improvement.